right, let's dive in. Today, we're taking a closer look at Akuma, a financial advisory firm.
Okay.
We got this document about their team, and one guy really jumps out. Adrian Rowles. I mean, everyone wants to build wealth and financial freedom, right?
Of course, who doesn't?
Exactly. So we got to see if Akuma's got the goods. They're talking about these bespoke strategies.
Yeah.
And get this, Adrian's got training from former head traders at Goldman Sachs.
Oh, wow. That's serious stuff.
Sounds intense, doesn't it?
Definitely. You don't see that kind of background targeting regular investors every day.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Makes you wonder what those traders saw in him.
For sure.
The document really hypes him up, talking about bringing that institutional level expertise to everyday people.
I see that.
But what does that even mean for someone who's just trying to plan for retirement or just invest their savings the right way?
Well, think of it this way. Imagine learning to cook.
Okay.
You could follow recipes online, or you could train under some amazing Michelin star chef.
Oh, I get it.
The techniques, the attention to detail, even just understanding flavors, it's a whole other ball game.
Yeah.
Adrian's background suggests he's bringing that chef-level skill to, personal finance.
So he's not just picking stocks. He's got a whole different way of looking at the market.
Seems that way. He throws around terms like options trading and long-short portfolio management.
Hold on.
Stuff you usually hear about with hedge funds, not your typical financial advisor.
Okay, so break that down for me. What is long-short portfolio management, and how could that help someone who's not, running $1 billion fund?
All right, imagine you think electric cars are the future.
Okay, yeah.
But you're not sure about one company specifically.
Mm-hmm.
So you buy stock in the company you believe in. That's the long part.
Right.
But at the same time, you bet against a competitor that you think will struggle. That's shorting it.
Interesting.
So even if the whole car market dips, you could still make money if your company does better than the other one.
Oh, that's smart.
Yep.
So even if you're wrong about one, you could still come out ahead. Does that mean it's less risky?
It's a way to manage risk, definitely, but not eliminate it completely. It
Yeah.
still takes a lot of analysis, skill, all that. And this ties into how Adrian mentions macroeconomic-driven strategies.
Yeah, I saw that.
Meaning he's looking at the big picture, global trends, interest rates, all of that to make those decisions.
Now, there's this section called Advanced Training Beyond Financial Planning, and they talk about understanding volatility.
Mm-hmm.
But isn't that what most people try to avoid with their investments?
Well, volatility just means how much an asset's price goes up and down.
Right.
Think of a calm lake versus a rough ocean.
Okay,
Both have potential, but you need different skills to navigate them.
gotcha.
Adrian's training in options trading, think of those as specialized financial tools, suggests he knows how to work with volatility, not just run from it. Could even be a way to make money.
So it's not about avoiding the rough seas. It's about knowing how to ride the waves. I'm seeing a theme here. This isn't your typical financial advisor.
Exactly. He also talks about portfolio hedging, using options.
Okay.
It's like insurance for your investments, helps limit potential losses, but you can still make gains. This is getting pretty deep, though. What else stood out to you about his expertise?
This long-short portfolio management thing again. He says it's about capitalizing on market volatility with risk-managed growth. But how does that actually work for someone's personal financial goals? How's it going to help them retire comfortably or buy a house?
It's about aiming for growth without taking crazy risks.
Right.
So instead of putting all your eggs in one basket, you diversify, even bet against some assets. Imagine using a long-short strategy for your down payment savings.
Interesting.
You could invest in real estate stocks, but also bet against interest rates going up, which usually affects housing prices.
Oh, okay.
You're basically covering your bases, trying to make steady progress towards that house.
So it's not just about picking winners. It's about protecting yourself if things go south. That's reassuring for someone who's not, a financial expert.
Exactly. It all comes back to having a robust framework, which he talks about a lot. Now, speaking of frameworks, we should talk about the team that supports Adrian at Akuma.
All right, let's meet the crew. First up is Siddharth Bhatia, the investment director. Chartered financial analyst, member of the Chartered Institute for Securities and Investment. All those credentials just scream expert.
Definitely. He's the one in charge of investment research, picking the right assets, and managing portfolios for their discretionary fund management. Basically, he's making the investment calls for clients who trust Akuma to handle their money.
So he's like the brains of the operation, analyzing opportunities and making sure investments are aligned with what the clients want.
Right. But he also creates new investment products, UCITS funds, structured notes, and these bespoke managed strategies. This tells me they're not just sticking to the basics, they're actively coming up with new solutions, tailoring things.
Wait, hold up. What are UCITS funds and structured notes? I'm getting lost in all these fancy finance terms.
Think of UCITS funds like a pre-made meal. It's convenient and follows all the regulations, makes them accessible in different countries. They offer diversification and professional management. Structured notes, on the other hand, are more complex. They're like a mix of bonds and options. They can offer customized returns linked to all sorts of market factors.
Okay, so UCITS funds are like a grab-and-go meal, while structured notes are like a fancy, customized recipe for specific tastes and goals.
That's a good way to put it. Shows they're trying to meet a lot of different client needs and risk levels.
So they're not afraid to, think outside the box with their investments. What about the rest of the support team?
Well, you've got Tom Elliott, the investment strategist. He's been helping clients understand those big economic and political forces for 25 years. Things that impact the markets.
Like what kind of things?
Trade wars, elections, even climate change. Things that grab headlines and move your portfolio.
So he's the guy connecting the dots between, world news and your investment strategy.
Mm-hmm.
That seems super valuable, especially with everything going on in the world these days.
Absolutely. And he really likes this thing called a core satellite approach to investing.
Core satellite. Okay, I'm not familiar with that one.
Imagine the core of your portfolio is like your reliable family car, gets you where you need to go, day in and day out.
Yeah.
The satellites are like those exciting sports cars you rent for a fun weekend,
Oh, I get it.
They add a little spice, maybe a chance for bigger returns, but you wouldn't rely on them for everyday driving.
So it's all about balancing stability with the potential for those big wins. Sounds like a smart move, especially if you're looking for long-term growth, but don't want to go too crazy with risk.
Exactly. Understanding your priorities and matching your investments to them. And then there's Darren Jones, the head of global technical development.
Right.
He's the guy making sure everything runs smoothly, especially when it comes to, the nitty-gritty.
Like
taxes, trusts, retirement planning, even international investments.
So he's the one making sure you don't get hit with some surprise tax bill or run into legal issues. That seems pretty important when you're dealing with these more sophisticated strategies.
Right. And he specializes in UK-connected clients, meaning they're comfortable working with people across borders and dealing with all those different tax systems and regulations.
Seems like they've got all their bases covered, from the big picture stuff to the fine print. Okay, I'm ready for the main event, the investment team. This is where things get interesting, right?
Get ready. This is where it gets really interesting. This team, they're not just managing money, they're shaping the whole financial landscape.
Okay, wow. Let's start with Will Bartlett, the Chief Investment Officer and Portfolio Manager. This guy used to manage a $5 billion multi-asset fund range at HSBC. That's more money than I can even wrap my head around.
Seriously. Managing a fund that size, that takes a very unique skill set. It's not just about picking the right stocks. It's about understanding how all these different asset classes work together, managing risk on a huge scale, making decisions that affect thousands of investors.
It's like being the conductor of a giant orchestra, right? Making sure everything's playing together.
Exactly. You need to understand all the parts and how they fit together.
Yeah.
And that kind of experience, it translates really well to individual investors. Will isn't just managing some theoretical portfolio. He's been in the thick of it, making those tough calls, dealing with market swings with real money on the line.
Right, my mind is blown already. But then we have Mercer, the world's largest investment consultant, with $17 trillion under advisement. Trillion, with a T. What are they doing with Akuma?
That's a number that'll make your head spin.
Yeah.
Mercer basically provides advice and recommendations to Akuma. They draw on their huge global network of experts, their massive database of market information. It's like having access to the world's biggest financial library.
So it's a team effort, combining Will's hands-on experience with Mercer's big picture view and global reach. That's powerful.
It is. And then there's Chris Joy, a bond trader who started at Goldman Sachs, advised the Obama administration during the 2008 crisis, and built a successful firm managing over $10 billion. He's seen it all. Wall Street highs, global meltdowns.
This guy's like a financial firefighter.
Right.
The fact that he's now working with Akuma says a lot about how they approach things. They're not afraid to bring in people who've handled some seriously big financial challenges.
For sure. And Chris's bond expertise adds another layer of, well, sophistication to their investment strategy.
Okay.
Bonds are usually seen as that safer, more stable part of a portfolio, but even there are complexities and opportunities that someone like Chris can really take advantage of.
So even the quote-unquote safe investments are managed at this high level. It's good to know someone's got an eye on every detail. Okay, now we've got Dr. Ian Mortimer, a physicist who's managing the DVAM Global Equity Income PCP Fund at Guinness Global Investors. A physicist. That's a pretty unusual background for finance.
It speaks to a growing trend in finance, using quantitative analysis and data science to make investment decisions, applying physics to the markets.
So instead of, like, gut feeling, he's using algorithms and math to find patterns and predict what's going to happen. Sounds kind of sci-fi.
It is becoming much more common, especially with the amount of data investors have access to, and his focus on global equity income suggests a strategy of generating steady income from dividends, but also taking advantage of the stock market's potential growth.
So it's about finding companies that are growing and sharing profits with their investors. It's a way to build wealth over time while getting a regular income stream. That's got to be appealing for people who are, like, looking for long-term security.
Definitely. It's a strategy that resonates with a lot of investors, especially those nearing retirement or wanting a more conservative approach.
Got it. Okay, next we have David Dunning, a senior portfolio manager at Columbia Threadneedle Investments. Been with them since '99, managing both global and European equity strategies. He's seen all the ups and downs.
His experience shows a deep understanding of all these different regional markets, how they react to different economic situations. It's not just picking winning stocks. It's knowing when to buy, when to sell, how to adjust to whatever's happening.
He's the veteran, right?
Yeah.
He's seen it all, knows how to handle the market's mood swings. That's the experience you want when things get a bit shaky.
For sure. Now moving on to Matt Roberts, the head of Fulcrum Alternative Solutions at Fulcrum Asset Management.
Okay.
He's the alternative investments guy, things like hedge funds, private equity, real estate.
Alternative investments. Those sound pretty, well, alternative. Are those even available to regular investors?
They used to be only for institutions and the super wealthy, but they're getting more accessible to everyday investors.
Interesting.
Think of them as ways to diversify beyond the usual stocks and bonds, maybe adding another layer of growth or protection to your portfolio.
Okay, so expanding your investment toolkit.
Exactly. Exploring options that might not be on everyone's radar. Fits with Akuma's whole approach, right? They don't shy away from going beyond the basics.
Yeah.
Matt's expertise here means they can offer clients a lot of different investment options, meeting those different risk profiles and financial goals.
And last but not least, we have another physicist, Matthew Page, also with Guinness Global Investors. They really seem to like physicists.
It's not a coincidence. Akuma seems to be intentionally building a team that blends traditional financial know-how with a strong understanding of quantitative analysis.
I see, yeah.
They recognize that finance is getting super complex. Data-driven decisions are crucial for success.
It's like assembling a financial super team, each with their own, like, superpowers. But how do all these different areas of expertise come together to make a single, coherent investment strategy?
That's the cool part. Akuma seems to be taking this multifaceted approach, using the strengths of each team member to create a really comprehensive investment philosophy. They're all about global diversification, active management, managing risk, data-driven decisions, and most importantly, customization.
Customization. So they're not giving everyone the same, like, cookie-cutter portfolio.
It doesn't seem that way. They're actually tailoring each strategy to the individual client's needs and goals.
So instead of telling me to invest in some mutual fund, they're figuring out how those investments actually get me closer to what I want. It's much more hands-on than I'm used to seeing.
Exactly. And remember how Adrian talked about making the complex simple? That's really important here. They could easily throw all those fancy terms around and make you feel lost, but they seem committed to explaining things so that you actually understand. You're not just signing on the dotted line blindly.
That's good.
It's your money, your future. You deserve to be in control. That's what it all boils down to, right? Trust and transparency. Seems like Akuma's built their whole approach on that.
Yeah, it really makes them stand out. We've talked about Adrian's background, the support team, that incredible investment team. It's clear they're the real deal. But it's not just about flashing those credentials, is it?
No, not at all. It's about how they use that expertise to help you. Think about what we've discussed, those bespoke strategies, that top-down approach. They're not just throwing darts at a dartboard. they're building a personalized plan, starting with your big picture goals. What do you want to achieve with your money? Retire early, a vacation home, pay for your kids' college. They build the strategy around that, like an architect designing a blueprint just for you.
So instead of saying invest in this mutual fund, they're figuring out how investments actually get me closer to my goals.
Yeah.
That's a lot more involved than what I usually see.
Right. And remember Adrian's focus on simplifying things. That's crucial here. They could easily overwhelm you with all those technical terms, but they seem committed to explaining everything clearly. So you're not in the dark. It's your money, your future. You deserve to be in control.
I like that. Instead of feeling intimidated by finance, you're actually learning and involved. But gotta ask, with all these advanced techniques, the global perspective, this team of experts, doesn't that come with a pretty big price tag?
Yeah.
Can someone who's not already rich afford this level of service?
That's a good question, and this document doesn't really say anything about their fees. Definitely something you'd want to ask if you were thinking about working with them. But remember, they're targeting individuals, not just big institutions. It seems like they're trying to make this level of expertise available to more people, which suggests they're trying to make it affordable.
So it might not be cheap. But it's not only for the super wealthy.
Mm-hmm.
That's good to hear.
Exactly. It goes back to that question we asked before. What are your financial goals? Your worries? What keeps you up at night when you think about money? If it's those big dreams, wanting financial security, needing a plan that actually fits your vision, well then Akuma's approach might be worth looking into, no matter how much you have in the bank right now.
It's about matching your values with how you handle money. And it sounds like Akuma might be the key to making that happen.
Yeah, I think that's a great way to put it. It's not just about chasing returns. It's about building a financial life that reflects who you are and supports your dreams.
Absolutely. Well, we've covered a lot today. Adrian's unique background, that amazing team at Akuma, their personalized strategies, and their dedication to making finance easier to understand. What's the one thing you really want our listener to take away from this?
I want them to feel empowered to ask questions, to demand clear explanations from their financial advisors, and to find experts who get them and their goals. Akuma's made a strong argument for a different kind of financial planning, one that's personalized, sophisticated, and most importantly, focused on you as an individual.
So it's not about settling for the usual way of doing things, that one-size-fits-all approach. It's about finding the right fit, the advisor who can guide you on your own path.
Exactly. It's about taking control of your financial future and creating a life that reflects what you want.
I love that. So if our listener is interested in what they've heard, what should they do next? How can they learn more about Akuma and see if it's right for them?
I'd say go beyond this document. Research those people we've talked about, explore the ideas that really resonated with you, and most importantly, reach out to Akuma directly. Ask those questions you have, get a feel for their style, and see if there's that connection. Because, this is a long-term relationship. Choosing the right financial advisor is like choosing a dance partner. You want someone who gets your rhythm and can lead with confidence.
That's a great way to put it. It's about that harmony, that shared understanding that makes the whole experience fun and worthwhile. Thanks for walking us through this deep dive. Our listeners are walking away with so much knowledge and I think a whole new perspective on what's possible.
It's been great. And remember, this journey to financial well-being, it never really ends. Keep learning, keep exploring, and keep working towards that financial freedom you deserve.
Well said. On that note, we'll wrap up this deep dive. Until next time, keep those minds curious and keep those financial goals in sight.